All right,
I think we
we're
got it.
live. All right, cool. Always got to start with the clap. So I'm here with my man Nathan. If you're watching this live, please check in with us in the comments. Let us know #live. And if you're watching this on the replay, same thing, #replay. I'm here with my man Nathan. Yeah, I've been working with him for the past 4 months. He's somebody who lost about 14 pounds in the past 4 months. So literally almost about a pound a week, right? And he's done it through improving his fitness routines and I just wanted to have him on here to kind of talk more about that. You know, he's somebody who's very busy with work. He travels a lot. He has a family. He's somebody who's kind of struggled with this area of his life before. So rather than me talk about this, I'd rather have Nathan on here himself to talk about this. So thanks for getting on here, Nathan. Why don't we start off and with just a little bit of your background, like what you do for work, what your lifestyle was like prior to us working together, and what it still is like now. Just because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that as somebody who's very busy.
Yeah. So I'm Nathan. I work for a company called Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. So been here for almost about 6 years now. And essentially what I do is I'm the vice president of sales on this side. So I'm running around. We go, have some conferences across the country. So, I have some travel that is incorporated in my working time. And then also, most of it is office work. So I'm sitting down in front of a computer doing Zoom calls. So this is nothing really too new for me. So this is basically what I do my day in and day out on a regular basis on this side. So, essentially, I called Dallas up and said, "Hey, I need to flip some of my routines around because my routines, man, they suck. Out of routine, having a baby." Started getting out of routine. Needed to get back into it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say routine a lot. And I think that's very interesting because when we first spoke and connected, it was less about your physique. It was like, a lot of guys I work with, they want to lose weight to get in better health. And, maybe they're dealing with some health conditions that come up. That wasn't you. You weren't somebody who needed necessarily to like look a certain way or fit a certain aesthetic, or even you weren't even in bad health. It was more so about your routines. What can you say to that in terms of like where you were at in terms of your routines before we had started?
Yeah, I mean, I found myself frustrated. Like I was frustrated with kind of where I was sitting, in my work world, not necessarily anything to do with anyone's fault. It was more of something I had to look at internally a little bit and say, okay, why am I frustrated right now? What is it? Is it the work? Because I love what I do. Like I've been loving it. Like, so what's going on here? Why is this not working the same way? So I kind of kicked back and started backtracking. When was things going well? Man, things were going well when I was waking up in a routine, working out, getting my runs in. I used to run 5 miles every single day. That was basically something I was doing regularly. And then all of a sudden, my knee gets a little busted up, and almost for probably about a year didn't really do anything. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I almost guarantee that's part of the reason why I'm frustrated right now at work. It probably has nothing to do with work. I love my job. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. So, I ended up kind of correlating it directly back to my routines. How do I wake up in the morning? I have no routine. It all sucks. That's essentially what ended up being my realization in this. And I really needed to change that side in order to improve my working world.
Mm. No, that's interesting, man, because I think a lot of people will end up in this mental space where they're like, yo, I'm frustrated with work, I'm frustrated with my personal life, whatever the case may be. And it's like they'll kind of like look for the next thing. Oh, maybe I need to leave my job and do something else, or maybe it's the company, or maybe I need to pick a new career path or something. But you kind of looked internally and said, no, I love what I do, because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the case is, I was a lot happier. And it was when I was running consistently. I was doing a lot of these health routines consistently. So I even remember you telling me you stopped learning as much because I know when you were on your runs, you would listen to more podcasts, audiobooks and stuff. And that's stuff that'll probably help you for work, right? Just getting you in
For sure.
that headspace. So that's that's great to hear that that's something that helped you with all that. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
still listen to, like, I mean, if I'm in the gym now, if I'm going on a run, whatever I'm doing, I'm sitting there, I'm usually not listening to music. I'm usually listening to some sort of podcast, some sort of motivational thing.
Yeah.
It's a complete game changer on that side. It gets you in the right headspace. I mean, when you're doing that and you're doing something almost every single day, and then you have the podcast going and it's, positive motivational message, whatever it is that you're listening to, It's a complete game changer on that side. It really does change your headspace. Yeah, most time people just don't like to stand and look in front of the mirror and say, yeah, it's on me. And it's something that I like to do regularly. Like, you got to look internally really before you go to the external.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just having talked to you for so many weeks, man, about this, like I see that's very consistent with your personality and who you are. But yeah, man, it's interesting to have you on here talking about this because, again, so many people look at it for the physical aspect. Oh, I need to get in better health. I need more energy. I need to feel better. I need to look better. And that wasn't necessarily you. It was more about like what it does for you mentally. So hearing your angle on this is very interesting. Now, when we initially got started, would you say that you were like a little hesitant, a little resistant, a little skeptical at first?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there were things that I was like, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I never thought I'd really hire a trainer. I mean, I can kind of figure this out myself. I definitely was not someone who was like, okay, I need to go find this like today. Now, I am a big believer that I believe that you should have coaching in every aspect of your life. So like you should have coaching on your, you know, your personal side of your life, your professional side of your life. Like you should have a mentor in the categories of life, and they shouldn't all be the same. Typically, you know, your fitness person, you know, probably is not going to be the best person to help you out in your business side, and you know that person's probably not going to be the best person to help you out in your family side, right? I'm not saying that you can't help people out that way, Dallas, but I'm like there are certain things that you're going to specialize in, and you want to go to the person that's like, you know, the specialist in that category. So I just believe that, you know, you should really look at that in all facets of life. So, you know, that was one reason why I knew I needed to explore this and look into it. But yeah, like for some of the hesitant stuff, like, I mean, for me, it was more like, I don't want to go to a gym. Like that was something that I was hesitant on. I mean, hell, I haven't been to a gym since I was in high school. So it's been roughly about, you know, a little bit over 12 years since the last time I, you know, lifted a weight or did anything like that. I mean, I was running consistently, but didn't really hit weights or do any of that stuff. So yeah, that was hesitant. And then the other things like Dallas, like, okay, yeah. And then we're going to get your food on track. I've never tracked a single thing I've eaten in my entire life. I would just step on the scale, look at my weight and go, okay, I weigh a pound over. I probably need to eat a little less today. I would just eat a little bit less. That's how I've been maintaining my weight the whole entire time. So, you know, these were things that Dallas kind of brought up to me. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it for the 16 weeks that Dallas, you know, has me do this. And then I'll never do it again. It's like, go back to my normal thing once I have my stuff together again.
That's funny. And I'll circle back to the nutrition thing you brought up because I forgot about that. But no, that's very interesting what you said about the just being hesitant to like working out, because I remember you telling me day one, like, dude, you're a former athlete, right? Like you played baseball, you played football in high school. I know obviously you're playing tennis now, you're on the pro circuit. No, no, but I know playing those sports, the workouts were very grueling, whether in the weight room, whether it was like off-season conditioning. I know you had this relationship with lifting weights where you were just like, yo, fuck this. I'm never going to do this again. This sucks. I hate this. This is not fun. Yeah, you were strong. You were benching 365 in high school. You were a lot heavier, whatever the case may be. But I know we spoke about this where it was like, dude, after that, I don't want to work out anymore. Like if that's what it takes to be in shape, I don't want to do that ever again. So for us to get to a point where you're in the gym and enjoying it again, I think is a really great thing. What can you say to, I guess, to that?
Yeah, I mean, I really just never expected to step foot back into a gym. You know, the day I put hung up the cleats and I was done. I was like, I never probably will step in a gym again. Just didn't enjoy it. You know, what's the need for me to go bench ever again? Like, there's really no need for it. I don't need to be strong. I don't need to do any of these things again. I don't really care about necessarily my physique, you know, kind of like what I said in the beginning. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, you know, I just don't really need it. So why would I do it? And, but now, you know, looking at it, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of benefits that, you know, can end up coming from going and working out and doing these things, like holding your child, you know?
Yeah, we were joking about that, right? Oh, I'm finally benching, whatever. I can hold my daughter and not like.
I'm shocked I can actually hold her now. Yeah, I was, right, because before, you know, I went back into the gym, threw on a bench, and I was like, oh boy, I'm surprised I could. First message I sent to Dallas, man, it's been 12 years since doing this again. I'm surprised I could hold my daughter.
Yeah. I'll pull out the screenshots if you need, man. I got the receipt. No, but Yeah, you were like, yeah, I think the first day of benching, you were like, oh shit, this is hard. Like this is a far cry from the 225 I used to
Oh,
work out back in the day.
far cry from that. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
far from even a plate on that side. So yeah, it was pretty sad. You know, not benching for 12 years. It really will. It'll kick your tail in.
Yeah, but no, I mean, obviously you're getting a lot stronger, even with the deadlifts, man. You're repping 3+ plates. You're doing it with ease. I mean, I know we got the calluses we complained about, but hey, man, you gotten a lot stronger in the past 4 months. So we're
For
obviously
sure.
happy to see that. What would you say that
It,
you've learned? Oh, sorry, but
I mean, one of the things that is nice on this side is like, you know, with me just running consistently. I mean, I was running every single day, but um, one of the things that is nice on doing something else is like that just beat up my knees like consistently. Like, I mean, I felt it like at the end of it, it was, they just weren't holding up the same way. So, you know, really being able to change in and intercept like different workouts, doing different things. I mean, I'm playing tennis now. I have, you know, now I'm going to the gym. Now I'm running as well.
got a
So
little
now I got,
variety.
you know, a whole bunch of variety, which is just a better way to stay in shape on my side. So for me, it's more of like, you know, I never would have stepped back foot into a gym if it wasn't for, you know, bringing you on. So it's something I'm definitely appreciative at this point, and I'm enjoying it and like going back out and doing it now. So
Yeah. No, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, like I don't think I realized that initially when we started, but when we started talking a little bit more during our check-ins, you're like, dude, I never saw myself getting back in the gym. Yeah. To me, I'm like, holy shit, like that's good because you're out here killing it. I'm seeing the PRs on a weekly basis. Like I said, you're deadlifting 3+ plates with ease. And this is coming from somebody who said they would never step foot in a gym again after what 12+ years, you know. So I mean that's great to see, and I'm glad it's having some carryover to other areas of your life. Like for example, like you said, you're running 5 miles a day every day. What's that, 35 miles a week or so? Beating up your knees. Now we have some variety. We're down to running like 2 or 3 times a week. And it's like, okay, well, now we're not beating up our knees as much. We're strengthening other areas, playing some tennis. We're, getting some fulfillment in other areas as well. So yeah, it's all good stuff. A more holistic approach. But
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I was gonna say before was like, what do you feel like you've learned moving forward? I'm sure like some of the nutrition stuff you mentioned earlier would come up, but what would you say you've learned in terms of yourself or fitness just moving forward at this point?
On the fitness side, it's like I would say for me, it was more of just having a variety was a better way to go about it, honestly. And it's also just for me, I'm a guy that gets bored easily. So you know, I get bored over like doing the runs every single. Don't get me wrong, I kept it up for almost probably about 2 years, just running 5 miles at least a minimum of 5 days a week, and it just gets to kind of be the same old routine, get repetitive, get kind of bored of doing the same old, right? So now this kind of really does add a variety, and also you can feel it like from your body standpoint too. So I mean, my body definitely like recognizes I'm well more in shape at this point than where I was when I was just taking the runs and doing things like that. So yeah, it's just adding the variety, and adding that different routine into my day is definitely helpful on that side. So for that, for sure. And then the nutrition side, yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing with you that I would have 100% positive never done. Probably the two things I probably never thought I would do again, or that I never thought I'd ever do. The gym, I never thought I'd go back to doing. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all big stuff. Like number one, you saying that you wouldn't be in the gym again, like kind of putting this seed in your own head of like, yeah, there's no reason to work out again. Yeah, I don't need to bench what I benched in high school again, right? Like, so there's no reason to be in there because you had this like hateful relationship towards the gym. But the fact that you like it now is very, that's a good thing, obviously. But I remember you saying something a couple weeks ago when we were talking about, I thought the nutrition side, like you're gonna have me tracking my food and taking an inventory of how much I'm eating in the beginning. And I feel like I'll buy into it just because it's a part of what you're telling me to do. But I don't really think I'll stick with that after. And I noticed you said that a little earlier as well. Like, what do you feel like you've learned on the nutrition side of things that's helped you here?
that's a game changer. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that I've actually learned is like, I mean, I track everything. I'm a guy that, enjoys tracking where my money goes, tracking where basically everything, right? I mean, there's not much I don't track. So, me not tracking my food after doing it for a few weeks, I realized like this is something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Like I was like, this is dumb. Why would you not track that? Why am I stepping on the scale going, I wonder if I'm going to weigh more or if I'm going to weigh less? Like, why don't you just have a track and then you don't even have to worry about it? I mean, like, yes, I mean, I weigh myself every day still, but at the same point, I'm looking at it and I'm not like, even if I am like a pound over, I'm not sitting there like worried about that because I already know like I've eaten this many calories. I've already done this. I already know my body is going to be able to, go back or adjust or, whatever is going to end up happening on that side. So I already know I'm regulated on that side to be able to do what I want. So there's no surprise when I step on the scale. That right there was probably the thing that was the biggest shift for me out of anything else that I do. Also, what I eat. Hell, there was things I was eating on a regular basis that I just kind of cut out. Didn't realize like what I was putting in my body. Never really looked at a nutrition fact ever on any label or anything in my entire life. So that was something that was kind of eye opening as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was pretty interesting working with you because you weren't somebody who had like tried a bunch of different diets and it's like, yeah, I know that stuff doesn't work, so this has to work. Like you weren't one of those people. You were kind of just like, dude, I have no clue what I'm doing with nutrition. Just like I'm very moldable, like whatever.
Tell me what to do because I don't know what to do. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, you just tell me. I'm like, are you gonna tell me what to eat? I don't even know. Just whatever you need me to do, I'll do. Just tell me what to do. So
no, that's very interesting in terms of just like not really having that starting point and just okay, this is where we're at now, just tracking all your stuff. Like, people think like tracking your food is this like wild concept. It's like, dude, you track where your finances go. You're a business owner. You track where your revenue and expenses are. You track your leads. You track all that stuff, sales metrics and all that. So you know that where you need to improve. Now we do the same thing for food. Now you realize, if anything, it brings that awareness to your eating habits. Okay, I didn't realize I did this for this meal, and I do kind of eat a lot at night. Or it gives you that extra step of like, oh, well, I'm going to put this in the app. So maybe I shouldn't eat that like late night snack. It's going to take me over on the calories for the day. So I'm glad it brought that to you, even though at first it maybe wasn't something you thought you needed to do. I'm glad that ended up being something that helped us here.
For sure. biggest thing that changed was that right there. I mean, there's no question. My biggest learning point was the food side of the equation. Right? I really just didn't. And the crazy part is, Dallas, is like I started eating more. Like my wife was like looking at me, is like, you are eating more than I've ever seen you eat in a long time. And it was like, since high school, you're eating like a ton. And it was just like, yeah, it's just the crap I was putting in my body was the problem. So I was actually able to end up eating more. I know most people are surprised, like, yeah, I've lost like 14 pounds. I'm eating more than I was before. And it's not just because of, my working out and everything else. It's like, no, I'm eating significantly more than I would have ever been able to eat before I was doing all the workouts and everything. When I was running like this, I couldn't eat what I'm currently eating right now. So,
it was almost surprising. I remember you telling me like day one, you were like, yeah, dude, I skip breakfast and I just kind of slam a bunch of coffee and I eat this and eat that. It wasn't that much food, man. And you were still like at a point.
You saw my first like week or two that I didn't really change anything. And it was like, yeah, you're like not eating that much. It's just not great food. It's just, you're eating a burger, you're eating pizza, you're eating crap. And, just calories go up. And my body knew that I was putting in the calories. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was putting in whatever I take. And yeah, I mean, I was not eating a ton, but it was enough to where, the calorie count was extremely high compared to what I should have been doing. And now I ate more and calorie counts less. So that was an eye opener for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess in closing on that part, it's like, I'm glad that the thing that you thought you probably needed the least support in, you were honestly the thing that you were the most resistant to. Well, maybe that's a sign, right? The thing that you were the most resistant to was the thing that you needed to change the most, that helped you the most in terms of just our progress in general. Like, dude, you're the type of guy. I know you're going to work out. I know you're going to play tennis and you're going to do all your stuff there. It was like the other stuff that needed to kind of fall in line with that to get everything clicking. So yeah, that's pretty interesting there. But where would you say you're at now in terms of your fitness? Like in terms of, I guess, fitness levels, how you're feeling, where your mental space is at, like all that kind of stuff.
I mean, complete game changer on this side. I mean, it's my routine's back. I'm at least doing some sort of workout every single day, whether it's a run, playing tennis, going to the gym. So I'm doing at least something every single day. So that right there just brings back the routine for me. I just needed some sort of routine. I mean, especially you have a new baby, that you get thrown off these routines that you used to carry. So, when you have these, big life changes, it's important to stay on a routine, in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I understand. I switch up my routine all the time, but the routines are what end up creating the person that you are. So that was something that was completely eye opening for me. Like, I knew I needed to change it. So yeah, I was like, okay, it's done. I need to go hire someone. I need to make sure this happens. I need to change that piece. Dallas hits me up on my birthday with a little Facebook message. And that's how I end up. I was kind of looking for it. So I was like looking, I was like, oh, hey, I think this guy's a trainer. And it's like, okay, yeah, he's a trainer. So boom, I reached back out to him. And next thing you know, I'm hiring him. Tell my wife, I'm like, yeah, I need to change up my routine. I know I talked to you about hiring a fitness coach, and I think this guy might be the guy. So it's kind of interesting how
Yeah.
stars align on that side.
Yeah, serendipitous in terms of how it all played out. I think it was definitely funny, like, especially because you talked about routines, right? You had committed to tennis being your routine. So now we're in this weird spot where you're like playing
Yeah.
tennis 4 times a week on top of like what I'm having you do and your run. And and then now we're for those of you who don't know, like we're in the Nathan's a very like goal outcome oriented guy where he's like constantly needs that competition to keep him pushing. That's why he's in a 3 different tennis leagues.
Yep.
But we're actually training for a half marathon now, just because he's the type of guy who, like, when he says he wants to do something, he wants to do it. And he's very competitive in that aspect. And I know back in the day, I think you said you were going to do a half marathon and it fell through or something. So you got
Yeah. So I mean,
that box.
yeah. So I mean, I went to go, I put that on my list of, like, I was trying to get back into my routines. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my knees were been all jacked up. And, I'm probably, when I ran my marathon, back when I ran my marathon, I was probably about 160 pounds. I'm sitting right around 178 when I started running this again. So I started running again, and it was like, yeah, I'm going to go start running a half marathon. Boom, then my knee, I tried to do it in a pretty short period of time, but the extra weight just killed my knees on that side. So I hit mile marker 11 and knees bust out, and wouldn't hold up. So right when I hit mile marker 11, I'm like, I couldn't run the marathon the following week, half marathon. So frustrated me. It still frustrates me to this day. So I looked at Dallas and said, yeah, just unfinished business. It's not something I want to do, is run the half marathon, but I can't finish what I have to finish what I start. I said I was going to do it back then. I need to do it now. So I don't like having unfinished business.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so funny about it. This is not like this thing that you want to do and you're like, oh yeah, I want to run a half marathon. It's literally just like, dude, let's just get this over with so I can go back about our other goals that we have. This is just unfinished business. It's just a commitment I made to myself, and I can't have that unchecked pretty much. So hey, man, I gotta respect it, man. But that's the type of work ethic that made you successful with all this. So hey, man, we respect it. I guess in closing, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody who maybe a younger version of yourself, like 4 months ago, or somebody who was in your position 4 months ago in terms of like needing to get better routines? Like what would you say to that person?
Yeah. I mean, like, one thing is, like, you just got to look in the mirror and change it. It really is that simple. I mean, it's just like one day you're doing these routines, but then the next day you're like, you're doing a different routine. It happens over just, it just like, you snap your fingers and boom, like major life changes happen very easily in your life. And all of a sudden, boom, your whole routine changes. Like, one day you're sitting there, you're doing one thing, and then boom, new life comes in. Maybe life leaves, like maybe something, just some big, major thing happens. Maybe you're going through a divorce, maybe you're going through, I mean, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just like, boom, you're in one routine one day, and then like the next day you're like in a completely different routine. Job change, you have, like, there's a million different things we can mention on here. And so when you get into a negative routine is when it becomes a problem in your life. And you kind of have to wake up and like realize, like, holy crap, like, when were things going right? And you need to just go revert back to that. That piece right there is probably, for me, the wake up call I knew I needed. So reasons why said, man, got to get back into this. So
Yeah.
it helped me out drastically on that side. So, one day you're doing one thing, the next day you're doing something completely different. It's just your decision to change it. You just got to figure out what it is you need to change, and typically you can cut out the negative things that are going on in your life.
Yeah. No, there's a lot I could say to that too. And I wouldn't have time for on this post, but no, I hear you on that, man. It's like those changes are very subtle too. Like, one thing happens in your life, takes you for a spin. Next thing you know, you start picking up this bad habit, and that takes you for a spin, or like you stop doing this one good habit that takes you for a spin. And it's like,
and it usually happens slowly, right? Like,
yeah.
like you usually don't just wake up one day and go, okay, I go from running 5 miles. And then, you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm not running at all anymore. I mean, for me, it was my knee, and, I blew that thing out. And I mean, it really was like one day I'm running, next day I'm not, and now I'm not doing anything. And then
Yeah.
a year later, you wake up and you're like, what the hell's going on? So, that is something where it can wake up and change. But, then so most of the time for most people, I would say it usually is the course of just like slowly but surely. Like, you're eating one thing one day, and then it's like, okay, I'll have this. And then it's like, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then you got to you just got to, make that change. So, wake up, make the change, pay Dallas some money, and let's get rocking and rolling. Come on, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
The guy knows what he's doing, man. I mean, I will say, like, it's helped me drastically. I'm much appreciated to you. I'm looking forward to another year with you.
No, I appreciate you saying that, man. But yeah, it's like that compound effect of like, I don't want to say it's easy to build good habits, but just as like simple as it is, like we know when a good habit is making positive changes in our lives, and we compound on that day in, day out, week in, week out, whatever. The same thing could happen easily. Like you could have been on this grind for a month, 2 months, and then one bad thing happens and you're compounding in the other direction. Now you're drinking, now you're doing this, But we didn't even talk about that, how we haven't had to give up alcohol, but
haven't had to give up alcohol, because that probably would have been I don't know. I would say that would have been very difficult for me to not be doing any drinking whatsoever during these things. That probably wasn't going to fly. So, I haven't had to give up any alcohol while doing this either. So that's nice.
Yeah. No, shoot, I forgot to even bring that up, but yeah, man, I want to respect your time. I appreciate you just giving value today, man, telling a little bit of your story, and thanks for taking the time out your day, man. I know we got some tennis matches to get to tonight, man, so I'll let you get to it.
I appreciate you, my man.
All right, I'm gonna stop this.